So we are a backward-looking society. We are backward-looking because it is just human nature. We all personally experience the past ourselves. We look around and we see evidence of the past all around us. All information we are creating on Facebook, Twitter, suddenly becomes part of history. So the past is very, very knowledgeable, but yet we are spending the rest of our times in the future. So it almost seems like we are walking backwards into the future. So my job is it to help you turn around? Is it to help you to create an understanding of what the future might hold? People make decisions on their interpretation of the future. So if you change the vision of the future, we can actually change how people make decisions. So the future is nothing far away or which nobody can imagine. The future is now. Oh. So I'd like to talk about digital ecosystems. And Istanbul is connecting Europe with Asia. It's a very important location. It's at the edge of big ecosystems, digital ecosystems. On the one side, we have USA with the key players, Facebook, Twitter, eBay. And on the other side, we have Asia with Tencent, Baidu, Xiaomi, also very large companies. And my question is, will Europe will we be squashed between these big, giant digital ecosystems? Will we be very tiny left when these tectonic plates meet? It seems that Europe is not innovating, but it's not true. There are so many successful companies who have been born here in Europe, born in Turkey, and then brought globally. For example, Shazam, Spotify, Skype, Angry Birds, just to name a few. So we are just bad in being proud of ourselves. We are bad of communicating success. But for me, the digital ecosystem is here already. Accelerators are all over Europe. Only last year there have been 1,000 startups born in these accelerator programs in Europe, and they're creating thousands and hundreds of jobs, new opportunities. So my question is Istanbul a new Silicon Istanbul? Well, we do not have a Silicon Valley here in our region, and especially not in Europe, but we don't need one. We have so many good, talented people. We have great ideas, and we have several hotspots which are culturally different, and that's actually a very unique point. So all these locations bring a lot of innovation together. So it's time to share and celebrate success. It's time people understood that we need innovators, we need entrepreneurs. The parents need to understand, professors, policymakers. It's time that we understand that failure is not a black spot in your CV. It's just a sign of progress that you are innovating. So it's a privilege for me to be among you, to be surrounded by you with so much inspiration, but I need some answers also from you. So how can we actually leverage entrepreneurship? How can we drive the digital ecosystem here in that region? And before I jump into my trends I brought today, I'd like to do a little test with you, a digital leadership test. So it's a small but simple test used by many professors and universities on a global level several times. And there are these symbols. There's the circle, the Z, the triangle, and the square. So you should choose one of these symbols which reflects your personality the best. So have a look at these symbols and choose one where you think this is your personality. This is something where you fit best. Did everybody choose one? Yes? So let's start with the square with the back and then go up to the other symbols. Who had the square? Please stand up. Just stand up. The square. Anybody? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the back, 6. Okay, the square stands for IQ, for smart people here in the room. So I try to make it very simple for the rest of my talk, as IQ is probably not as high. What about the triangle? Who had the triangle? Please stand up. Okay, that's much more.
Something nice.
Triangle stands for creativity. And as you're all in the advertising marketing space, of course creativity is crucial for your job.
Also IQ and all.
What about the Z? Who had the Z? Okay, that's even more people. So I explained this, the Z. The Z stands for leadership. So you're good leaders, good managers. That's very, very good. What about the circle? Who had the circle? Please stand up. Okay, so that's, I would say, a third of the crowd. Circle stands for sex and alcohol. So these are the social skills. And I'm not kidding. The social skills, of course, are the ones connecting the team, and you're probably one of the most important people. So to wrap up, we have a good party people crowd. The social skills are high. IQ is pretty more or less at the bottom. And we have good leaders and very creative people in the room. So I think it's a good mixture. So I'd like to tell you a little bit how a trend is created, because it's essential if you look at the trend spotting and future research. In the middle, there's the idea, the moment when you have this great invention in mind. And an idea can't be taken back. You inflect others, you tell about your idea, you have the core innovators, the enablers, the supporters, your team who's around us. Then you have the early adopters, the fast followers who jump on it, like we've seen with Meerkat. People are just using it, they love it. And then at the end, you'll reach the mass market. And each trend has a different time stamp on it, so it just takes longer for like bigger, larger movements to develop, and for some social media trends, it can happen overnight, basically. And as a trend scout, I've been trying to come as close to the idea as possible. The future research is actually trying to get close to these ideas, to work with innovators, with startups, and then to figure out which trends are actually important for you, for your daily business. Which one will make it to the mass market, and which one will probably die on the way. So that's the crucial part of it. If you look at any topic, will Meerkat actually influence your marketing strategy in the future? Of course, if you're an early adopter, you can use it right away, but will it disrupt or radically transform business models? So if you believe Thomas Friedman, an author who wrote a book called The World is Flat, he says that globalization and digital media brings everybody together. Things are being rolled out globally. So you have a Starbucks all around the corner, McDonald's, everything will be the same. But if you really dive in, especially in the digital ecosystem, the world is spiky. There are hotspots like Silicon Valley, New York, Hong Kong, Beijing, Tokyo, who are ahead of our time. And it's important to create a trend radar, especially for you as a digital leader. It is important because you have to see the iceberg before it hits the Titanic. You have to get an understanding how digital is transforming your industry and other industries. And we are at I would say, a very historic moment of time where digital is actually leveraging to a next level. In the last century, or last decade, like from the beginning of the internet, we had the pure digital players. Companies who are only living digital. The Facebooks, Google search, companies like this. Now, it's turning, it's transforming traditional industries. It's the next evolution of digital, called digital transformation. And that's why it's important to look at all different kinds of industries. And as I'm the last speaker, I wanted to also inspire you, and I brought 6 trends from all different kind of industries. The first one is called human-machine interface. And it's a big shift for us that humans do not adapt how computers work, the computers adapting to human beings. And there I'd like to go back to the evolution of mankind, how we grew from the industrial age to the computer age, and we were sitting in front of these computers. And now we have laptops, portable devices which we can carry around. We have smartphones, and we can stand up a little bit anymore. And now we have augmented displays. And the vision for these augmented displays is pretty clear. It gives you a connection to our machines around us. It gives us a second screen or a communication device, either via voice or with a display. And there are a few companies working on that. In 2012, Google introduced Google Glass, which was an experiment in that space, but it showed and it triggered a huge wave of innovation. So there are a lot of other companies who are actually working on these kind of glasses and further displays. There are ski masks, there are solutions for logistic companies where you can basically have a hands-free working environment with these glasses. And then there's a 3D augmented reality with Oculus Rift. And there are many of these companies emerging right now, and it seems to be hitting a tipping point at the moment. So augmented reality and virtual reality is not only a vision anymore, it's coming down to a consumer price level, and it will be rolled out on a massive scale. Next trend is digital healthcare. And I mentioned it because I think digital transformation is transforming healthcare dramatically. It's probably one of the industries where change has been seen the most. So there's one example in digital healthcare which is probably most interesting. But first, I'd like to take a picture. Not of you, but of me. Not of my face, but of my body. But not from the outside, from the inside. That was weird. Probably I'll start all over again. I was mentioning a company called Velo, and they create a little plug which you can put on your iPhone, and it has sensors inside. So you can put your fingers on the back, and then it triggers all different kind of vital signs. So heart rate, blood oxygen, and all different kind of like wellness or medical information. And these information had been normally taken by very expensive machines from GE or Siemens or something like that at your doctor or hospital. And now it's sold for $200. They started with Kickstarter, which is also kind of a interesting way to get these companies going. And so for Velo, it's just one of the examples which is interesting in healthcare, but there are more. See if the clicker is working. The other one is Scanner Scout. It's a tricorder. So it also measures the most important information you can trigger and measure right on your skin. And it also comes with a smart app, which gives you the opportunity to have recommendations, probably background information on your health. And it's also in a price range between $100 and $200 US. Next company I'd like to mention is coming from Croatia, called Bellabeat, and they have been submitted at Y Combinator and then been invited to go there. So they moved from Croatia to Silicon Valley and now also opened an office in Berlin. And this is one of the first products where they have an interactive pregnancy tracking experience with an app and a little device, and now they're rolling out all different kind of smart trackers and devices, especially for women. Another example is vitals monitors for babies. So you have a rollover alert, you have oxygen level, all this on your fingertips. The next phase is actually, these are more consumer-based products, which are already in the market, you can buy them. The next phase are prototypes like this one, a contact lens with a glucose sensor inside. Imagine that these people have need to measure glucose level on a daily basis, don't have to do that with a little needle and like once or twice a day. They can have it constantly measured in their eyes. And of course, these contact lenses could be also being used as a display. Also there are prototypes working on. Another innovation is a biostamp, a little digital plaster which you can put on your skin. It's movable, so it's like an electronic tattoo. It's has this powered by the human body as well, so that just out of your skin there is a little wetness, for example, which is enough to actually trigger the batteries of these little plasters, and they can also monitor critical heart information on a long term. And these are actually innovations from the outside, but the next step is to digest them. So little sensors like a smart pill you can put into your body, and of course it's just a matter of time that these devices will actually not only outside of our body but also inside. So you're creating kind of a body area network, and we already do that with our fitness and wellness trackers, and it's just a matter of a couple of years probably when these devices will be so good that they can actually be used with your doctors together. And they're redefining a very crucial relationship, the relationship between the patient and the doctor. So with healthcare, it's digital is really turning the business model upside down. Another industry which is affected is finance. Of course, you probably heard about mobile payment usage in Kenya. About 70% of Kenyan people living in Kenya are using these SMS-based payments on a daily basis. And these are very simple tools, of course. The next stage is that we have it all in our smartphones. There's Apple Pay, there's Alipay in China, and Jack Ma just introduced a payment system where you can use a face recognition tool to actually initiate the payment. And you have to understand, Alipay is already doing that pretty heavily. They, since launch about 1.5 years ago, they've transmitted over $500 billion US in transactions. Over Chinese New Year, 2 weeks ago, they had enormous amount of people like sending money back home to family and friends as a gift or something like that, all via the mobile devices. You can also pay your taxi or anything else over there. Another interesting development in the financial industry is cryptocurrencies. And to name it directly, it's Bitcoin. Probably, I'm not sure if Bitcoin itself will make it on the long run, if it will be Bitcoin as a cryptocurrency. But the fundamental idea behind it, to have a digital and a global currency, this will actually radically transform the whole financial industry. And if you talk to a couple of experts in this field and professors at Stanford, for example, who are working on these topics, they believe that cryptocurrencies are at the stage of the internet was like in the 90s. So it's still in the early stages, and they believe in the next 10 years, so it's probably not coming overnight, but on a long run, these mechanics, these systematics and structures, how cryptocurrencies are used, will be powering a lot of startups. We've seen it. There are like companies like TransferWise, where you can transfer money from one country to another. You don't have to use Western Union, which just takes a big percentage out of fees and everything. So there's a business model right now, but there are a lot of other things which are also turning around the financial industry. Another topic, an industry which is disrupted by digital, is education. Of course, you heard about the MOOC learning platforms, massive open online courses like edX, Udacity, Khan Academy. They're offering free courses to everybody. They're having like edX, is a teamwork of Harvard and MIT, so that you have the best professors you could imagine, and they're giving their knowledge away for free. So the gap of access to good education is closing down. Everybody who has a smartphone or computer or internet cafe where you can go, you can actually learn very smart things. So a lot of developers, new developers, are actually coming out of all different kind of regions now. And another development is tablets are used in schools. And if it will be tablet or phablet or a phone or any other device, it's sure that these digital devices will be changing the traditional education. And I've just been to Seoul a couple of weeks ago, and there I learned that they have decided back in 2014, so last year, that all elementary schools will be equipped with tablets. And they are not like discussing this idea, they already decided it and they're implementing it within 2 years. So in 2016, all elementary schools in South Korea will have tablets. And it will be an addition to the traditional ways of working and teaching. But of course, it is very natural for all the digital natives, for the kids who grow up with the technology. Next trend I'd like to mention is digital manufacturing. Additive manufacturing is also a word of it. And I'd like to talk a little story about this car, the Aston Martin. It was shown in the movie Skyfall, James Bond movie, but actually they needed a couple of these cars, so they used 3D printing to actually reproduce a little model of it, and they used these big machines, so they had really like quite a huge model of the car, not in 1:1, but I would say like 1 to probably 3 or 4 or something like that, so quite huge model. And it has been produced in Augsburg, close to Munich, with a company called Voxeljet. And but there are more things you can print. There are the 3D selfies we've seen this morning, or like this one from me. So this is a consumer product where everybody can take the selfie to the next level. But there are other things which can be printed, and production of these products are taking out of China, where 50% of production is happening right now, to other countries. It could be locally produced. But time is critical. It just takes quite some time to do that. But you could probably also do it at home. So these 3D printers are coming to a price point below 1,000 euros, pretty cheap. So this is the MakerBot. You can print anything you'd like. It just depends on the printer. Anything which can be liquid, so also metal, gold, silver can be printed in printed jewelry. You can print cosmetics, or you can print sweets, even food. Even there are prototypes where you can print meat, which sounds creepy, but it's technology innovation. And I'd like to show you this one from Carbon 3D. It's a new way of printing, and it just had been presented at TED conference yesterday. And the incredible thing about this technology is that it brings the time of 3D printing to a much quicker level. So it's over 100 times faster than traditional 3D printing. And it's not printing layer by layer, it's like turning it upside down, so it just pulls out an object out of a liquid. It's like one of the science fiction movies. So as you can see, it's just robot is taking it out, and it's pretty quick. It's, so that's Carbon 3D. So hardware is becoming a commodity. It's kind of hardware becomes software. As software can be transformed from A to B very quickly, now you can just send a file, 3D file, and it will be printed locally in a shop or at your home desk. Next topic I'd like to mention is artificial intelligence and robotics. And it's probably one of the mostly heard and futuristic topics, but it's also coming to a point where it's coming close to us. Probably in the next 10 to 15 years, computers will be as smart as human beings. So I'd like to talk about this data-driven approach. And I'd like to show you a little video from Foursquare. These are all the check-ins in Manhattan during the day of 24 hours. So yellow is residences, then we have nightlife, work environment, bars, restaurants, and in different colors. So as you can see, there are thousands of people checking in during the day. And the question is, what do you do with this load of information? How do you visualize it? And that's a pretty nice way to actually visualize the data. So what do you do when you have all this kind of information? How do you visualize it? So we are in front of a big data tsunami, which gives us a lot of information, of course, like a huge stream of information, a wave. And we, like computer scientists, believed that we could just like fill all these mathematical algorithms with more data and we will get out more results. But at the end of the day, we do not get out smarter solutions at this moment because the algorithms can't handle this much information. So it's more about questioning how can we orchestrate the data? How can you be the conductor, and how can data be presented in a way that you can make the right decision as a digital leader? So there's a technology called deep learning, and a lot of computer scientists are working on that. These are new algorithms who can actually trigger decisions or analysis out of the big data analysis. So with deep learning, machines are able to learn themselves. It's kind of an artificial intelligence where you can trigger all different kind of decision-making process. And of course we have robots. And I'm not talking about these home robots which you probably have at your home already. It's about smart robots, smart drones, for example, who can follow you automatically. We have self-driving cars where you can just like push your smartwatch and the car is already coming out of the garage. And this will transform the whole transportation industry. And of course we have moving robots like this one from Boston Dynamics, which had been actually bought by Google, so it's one of the Google companies. So with all these trends, we are at the tipping point at the moment. We're at a unique moment of time. We have, on the one side, we have a global talent and knowledge sharing community. We have conferences like this, we have MOOC platforms, we are sharing our knowledge. On the other side, we have a low cost of productions. So 3D printing are coming down, the development costs for a website, a blog, an app are dramatically coming down since the last 5 or 10 years. And we have lean technology. You can trial and error, you can quickly come out with a minimal viable product, and you have new access to capital. You have an empowerment of people, so they can, your prosumers, the people who actually are your future consumers, they can buy it. So that's the crowdfunding platforms, which are interesting. So these people are actually empowering, of course, the whole ecosystem. And in the middle, there's the innovation hotspot. So I would say that now it's one of these moments where you can change the future. So we've seen human-machine interface, digital healthcare, digital money, future education, digital manufacturing, artificial intelligence, and robotics. There's one thing I can tell you: the future is now. Thank you very much.